Hey there, everyone. It's Camber here with YoPro in the Know. We are very excited to have Derek Freeland with us this morning, otherwise known as I Am Free. We'll get a little more into those details in a moment, but Derek is a 24-year-old motivational speaker, entrepreneur, and author in the Charlotte area. We were connected through a contact that I have made here in Greenville through the chamber, Randy Solomon, who's wonderful. He actually spoke about Derek, saying that he is making major change in the youth and urban communities in throughout the Charlotte area. And so we're really excited to have you with us today, Derek.
I'm excited to be here, Camber, and thank you for inviting me to the platform.
Absolutely. So, Derek, go ahead and get started by just telling us a brief background on yourself, and then we'll dive into the details.
Okay, so to keep things brief, I'm originally from DC, but I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina. Had a lot of opportunities in Charlotte to continue my education through sports. Ended up at the Citadel Military College on the full-ride football scholarship, where I played football and track and field. I graduated with a degree in business and sports management. Since then, I've done sales for a while, but I realized that wasn't my true calling. So from that, I decided to own my own business and create my own platform. And I became a full-time speaker. And I realized the biggest investment that any person can make is to invest into the minds of the youth.
Absolutely. Well, great recap. So let's talk about that. The best investment that somebody can make is by investing in the minds of the youth. Talk a little bit more about that.
So it comes from my story. So I didn't grow up in the best situation. I had a loving family, but in the day we didn't have financial means or the mental health needs that I needed. Um, Grew up in the hood of the hood. My mom moved me to Charlotte, North Carolina, where I continued to this grow and prosper. We couldn't afford school, so I had to focus on something to get me to the next platform. So on my journey to the Citadel Military College, I didn't want to go to military school, but it was a full ride. I sustained a couple of brain injuries that almost cost me my life. And through those brain injuries, it drove me to the state of depression. It drove me to the state of just not being very for certain. And when I went to the Citadel, to pursue a career in mechanical engineering. Well, first I wanted to play football. So my mind was, okay, cool. My A plan was go to the Citadel, play football, make it to the NFL. I had my plan B. My plan B
Yeah.
was, okay, cool. If that doesn't work, I'm gonna become a mechanical engineer. But my brain injury was sustained so bad that multiple neurologists suggested that I take the time off of school. For example, this conversation we're having now, if you hear me stutter, is because of that, something that happened years ago. But my brain injury was so bad, let's say if me and you had this conversation, if I walked away from you, Camper, I would not remember it. And during that time, things that generally made me happy would make me sad because of all the medicines that I was taking. It really had a really negative thought in my brain that I ultimately tried to commit suicide. And the reason why, because I used to be normal and my mind went to a very dark space.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other side of that, I said, cool, if my mind can go to such a dark space where I try to commit suicide, on the other side of that is greatness. But the only way that got me there was because of my mind. So I just had to develop positive affirmations. And I said, cool, well, my life isn't for me anymore. My life is to give back to the community. And what's the biggest community that I feel that can take the most impact? And I said the youth. And what I realized is when I was in high school, when you was in high school, we probably didn't have anybody who looked like us around our age group that come to our school and say, hey, you can actually follow your dreams. You can actually become any person that you want to be, as long as you follow the steps it takes to get there and be able to excel through adversity. We live in a society that we don't like failure, not realizing that failure is our biggest stepping stone to success. Going through those negatives, cultivate your mind to the positives. There's actually beauty in the struggle. But we're so brainwashed in America to realize that, hey, A, B, C, D, not understand, like when I'm talking about A, B, C, D in school systems, we don't get taught how to think. We get taught how to memorize things. But the
Right.
best thing you can do for a student is teach them how to think. And once they're able to think critically, they can manifest their wildest dreams.
Wow, I am. Well, first off, thank you for sharing all of that. That's, obviously something very personal. And it's really clear that you were able to take a very, very trying time and turn it into something that helps so many people. So thank you for doing that. And I'm
Yeah.
happy that, go ahead,
Like to add a little tangent. And one thing like
please.
I focus on in the school system is social emotional learning. In schools we got taught English, math, science, reading, and writing, but we never got taught what I do to deal with our emotions. We never got taught about mental health. We never got taught how to accept adversity and work through the system. That's one thing that we focus on in the school systems.
I think that's wonderful. And so just to clarify, so the work that you're doing is specifically in the Charlotte area, correct?
Not only the Charlotte area, Camber, we're nationwide right now. We're doing a bunch of virtual
Great.
stuff. Right now we're trying to actually tap in internationally.
Really, that's wonderful. Well, I mean, it's so amazing that you have this platform because, like you said, schools are not teaching the youth emotional well-being. And that's something that I think has obviously made some really terrible lasting impacts for many people and many families. So, can you kind of just going backwards a little bit? You're coming out of school, you're coming off of, playing football, these really horrible injuries, suffering your own mental health, um, you know, problems, issues. What is the next step? Like what kind of took you from that place in realizing, all right, I want to be an entrepreneur. This is the next step for me. Here's how I'm going to help so many people.
I never in my life thought I'd ever go to military college. My mom kind of forced me to go. So growing up, I hated being told to do, and I hated rules. And being in the military environment playing football is like you had a lot of rules. And going back to it, when I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do anymore because of my brain injuries and limitations, I said, cool, well, let's figure out what I'm going to do next. So I decided, I had a couple of mentors in school, and they said, well, Derek, you're still bright. You're very energetic. People like to talk to you. So let's try sales. So I went to a sales competition down in Orlando, Florida. Out of the whole entire Citadel people that went, I was the only person that had multiple job offers out of it. So I graduated from Citadel, started doing sales for a while, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm making these businesses that I'm working for a lot of money. And I said, well, if I'm making these businesses a lot of money, where's my piece of the pie? I want a bigger piece. And I said, not only do I want a piece of the pie, I want to have the whole pie for myself. And I said, the biggest thing that most of us aren't willing to do is entrepreneurship. And the reason why, we just don't know. It's not like we don't want to do it. We just think it's too hard or it's too far away. So I said, you know what? I want to become an entrepreneur. I want to live by my means. And not only want to live by my means, I want to be free. A lot of people think, what's most important in life, freedom or security? People say, oh, well, I want security. Well, the truth is, I want to be free, because if I can do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it, I create the biggest brand you can make is your own brand. And it's going to take time. It's going to be really hard at first. But once you create the systems in place, you do whatever you want.
Absolutely. I think hearing your journey and, one of the questions I was going to ask you today was, looking back, are you surprised at what you're doing? What would you say to that?
I wouldn't just only say that I'm surprised. I would just say that every person who knew me in my life is surprised. It's coming from the background I'm coming from. I never thought in a million years I would write a book. I hated reading. I never thought in a million years that I'll be a motivational speaker. Like, how can you impact lives, Derek? Like, you're just small on the aspect of the whole entire society. I never thought I'd be an entrepreneur. My whole mission was, hey, I was going to make it to the league, or I was going to work in mechatronics and mechanical engineering. And when that didn't happen, I said, cool, well, life is continuing to go on. I must go on. And it's all about the pivot. That's where most of my success comes from. It comes from understanding that my failures, because my failures are only my first attempt in learning, and understanding that, kind of like the iPhone, right? If I say, Canberra, hey, you can have this iPhone 11, or I can give you the original iPhone. You're like, Derek, well, that's no brainer. I want the nicer one, right? Mm-hmm. But when you first start off, you start off as the little iPhone. Over time, you get better and better and better. So as I look back and take a moment to like debrief, I'm like, wow. If you focus on what you want out of life, 5, 6, a year from now, you look back, you're like, I never thought I can do this. But it's who got it for you? You did. So answering the question is, I'm super surprised of what I'm able to accomplish this far, but I'm even more hungry to see what I can accomplish in the next 6 months, a year. Mm-hmm. And I'm even more hungrier to see the people that I bring up with me attack their goals. And that's why I got in the speaking role, because most motivational speakers been in the game for 20, 30, 40 years. They're all old. That's like your grandpa or grandma telling you, hey, Canberra, do this. Well, when I was younger, this is what I did. Well, we live in a different society now. What you was doing when you were younger it's not going to get you where you need to be in this society. So the biggest thing that me and my team do, we're all young professionals. We're all showing kids that, hey, you don't have to wait till you're 40, 50 years old. You can do it right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's wonderful. I was wondering, you keep saying we. So who is your team? How did you pick your team?
When I first started speaking, it was all me. Then I realized very quickly there's a limited audience that I can reach. So we had to tap into other people. When I say people, I'm talking about other CEOs, other young professionals, artists, influencers. Because when I realized in the school system and kids, the biggest influence they have is not from their parents. It's about the things they see on their phone. And what do kids scroll through on TikTok and Instagram see? They see artists like rappers, they see musicians, they see TikTok dancers or social media influencers. So my team of people are individuals who actually reach their goals in whatever career path they wanted to be. We tap into the schools directly through the I Am Free experience. So I'm putting you in front of your favorite rapper. I'm putting you in front of your favorite TikTok dancer. I'm putting you in front of your favorite artist, whoever the person is. In that city, we connect with those people and say, hey, you reached your goals. It'd be really awesome if you can come to our school for like 30 minutes and just tell them to their face what was the importance of of you following your dreams. And the impact that we receive is like, wow, never in a million years did I think I can meet, for example, the baby. Never in a million years I think I can meet any person that I wanted to be in life, because the reach is so far away usually.
Great. And so how did you make those connections with, how did you realize that that was what was going to inspire younger generations? What was the kind of clicking point?
People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that clicking point with me is like, okay, cool. Derek, you're 24, you're from DC, you grew up in Charlotte. Yeah, a lot of Charlotte knows you from your football accolades, and a lot of people in South Carolina know you from your football accolades, but it's not about you. In life, and even in your business, when you own a business, your business is not about you. Your business is to create significant value into your product. And my product was motivation. My product was inspiration. And I said, well, Camber, how can I create the value? I need to, I need the students and the teachers and the businesses that I work with, the value they want is information as well as they want to be inspired. Well, I'm not that inspiring, but I have a message. How can I connect the dots? I'm going to give them what they want. So for the students, they don't want to hear me talk for 30 minutes to an hour of mental health, following your dreams, understanding failure, and going through my presentation. They would much rather hear that. The way you get them involved in hearing that, you got to have fun with them. You have to show them something they want to see. And once you bring them in, you have their attention. They're like, wow, this 24-year-old did this for me out of the kindness of his heart. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think that is a really wonderful way to end the interview. I feel like we could keep talking for a lot longer, Derek. Thank you so much for sharing your personal and professional experience with us. How can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram at I Am Free Speaks. They can go to my website at www.iamfreespeaks.com. They can shoot me a text at 980-225-4678. And the biggest impact a person can make when connecting with me is purchasing a copy of my book, because through the book, I have a scholarship program that the proceeds impact youth students in urban communities that generally, when think about scholarships, most scholarships are for 4-year traditional degrees, right? Well, in my scholarship, as long as you show proof of that you're trying to become somebody in life, you have an okay GPA, as well as you can become a diesel mechanic. If you want to go to a technical school, like becoming a barber or becoming a nail stylist or even owning your business, we're the funds for that. So through the book and my scholarship program, we're creating funds for those students.
That's great. And we will make sure to share all that information in this post as well when we start sharing this. So thank you so much, Derek, for being on the Yo Pro No podcast and video series. It's been great chatting with you.
I appreciate it.